I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, because the truth matters. Now, you've all watched on YouTube and other social media platforms police doing the wrong thing. Now, what if I found someone who not only does the right thing in the police department, but also trains other police officers and postal workers and government agencies on the importance of honoring and protecting we the people's constitutional rights? Well, I found that person in one Captain George Raposo of North Bergen, New Jersey. And I attended a training, which initially the Chief Ficini, who is in Union City, New Jersey, wanted to kick me out. However, and this is proof in the pudding, if you could say, is Captain George Raposo the real deal? As soon as I entered the training, turns out it was so-called closed, even though there were no signs, the door was unlocked. Chief Ficini of Union City, New Jersey, he immediately stopped the training. He had Captain Raposo come into a back room with him, and he was freaking out, saying, "Oh my God, Leroy Truth is here. Leroy Truth is here. What do we do?" Now, this was a choice point for Captain George Raposo. He's given a First Amendment training. Is he going to walk his talk, or is he going to do what Chief Ficini is saying? Captain George Raposo walked his talk. He said, "This is the First Amendment training. Let him stay here." And Captain Raposo did an extraordinary job in that training. He also interacted with me numerous times throughout the training, and I also spoke near the end of the presentation and shared my origin story of why I do what I do. And people appreciated what I had to share as well. So I gotta say, I'm gonna say directly to you, Captain George Raposo, you did an awesome job, and to the Chief of North Bergen, New Jersey Police, and to Mayor Nick Sacco. I don't know where you found Captain Raposo, but you did a great job with finding him, and he makes your city look incredibly good. And so I want everyone to watch this to this entirety, and you're gonna see one of two versions of this. There's a short version, be probably about 15 or 20 minutes long, and then the entire version, which is almost 2 hours long. It's an example that other police can use throughout the country. And Captain George Raposo has also done some work and some trainings with Sean of Long Island Audits as well. So make sure to check those out on Long Island Audits channel. I am Leroy Truth, and I appreciate you. And watch this video, and please like this video, share this video, and also please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. Thank you. Watch this. I am Leroy Truth.
That part of it so it won't happen again. As I said, Long Island Audit, Sean Paul Reyes. His story is very unique. What do we think these auditors are? Who are they? How would you describe these people? What do you think about an auditor when he comes with this family?
Just coming to see if you know what you're talking about. Basically questioning you, what more people should know and what they're doing.
So what is he basically describing? Something that's very important, something that's brought law enforcement to the peak of where it is today of education. We're talking about activism. If it weren't for these activists, which you might say, well, they're doing it for a personal gain. Yeah, maybe they are. But if it weren't for these activists, would we be where we are today with our professionalism and law enforcement, EMS, the township? We'd probably still be back in the days of Robbery King, no cameras, doing whatever we want in the Wild Wild West. Think of law enforcement 20 years ago. Picture officers that you know from 20 years ago compared to the officers of today. Who's a little more educated? We went from bashing heads to now we're like a social component. We talk to people, we system, we do all types of functions. So, one of them, activism. What else? Who else? What else do we think of these individuals?
Oh, I think it's a scam.
It's a scam. Okay, why?
Because they want us to arrest them on lawfully.
Correct. So we think it's a scam because they're trying to get arrested, and then they're going to sue. So, in essence, what are we saying? Basically, they could do what they're doing, and they're trying to see, like he said, the lack of knowledge. Right? Who thinks these guys are losers? Raise your hand.
Not all,
Go.
but
But the general part of auditors, losers. Who thinks they have too much time in their hands? Who thinks they have nothing to do? All right? This is our opinion of them, right? Now, what if I told you they're professional business people? Who would raise their hand to that? 1, 2. So this is our opinion of them. That's why right off the bat, we've already been set up to fail. We're thinking of these individuals, look at this idiot. I'm already in trouble.
So I see Chief Ficini removing the trainer, probably because I'm here. And wouldn't that be ironic that First Amendment auditor, First Amendment activist is here, and they stopped the training because the First Amendment activist is observing the training?
Sorry, I got in trouble. So anyway, like I was saying, what if I tell you these guys are professional business people? You probably won't raise your hand to that, right? What if I tell you these guys are making a lot of money? They found a way of a business, right? What if we think of these people as just any other business people that come into our townships, that come into our police departments, all right? Long Island Audit, as I said, I'm going to give you a little brief history, and they're all similar in nature. So Long Island Audit was a project manager, and what happens is he got furloughed during COVID. As some of you said, well, maybe they have a lot of time on their hands. All right? He started going around. That's why you see the name Long Island Audit. He's from Long Island. Started filming the local cops. Before he knew it, he started getting a lot of views. Okay? Now, fast forward. All right? He's a multi-millionaire with all types of monetization, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. He just signed a contract with a police watch app, which the company, which I forget the name right now, but when you have an encounter with a police officer, you can instantly click on that app and they'll have an attorney representing them. He's the face of that app. So when I tell you it's beyond that, I tell you we need these auditors. We need the people to keep us in check. We need the people that come and test us. Think of it from the history of academics. You go through a curriculum, you go through some kind of teaching, and then you get a test at the end. So think of the auditors like that. They're testing you to make sure that you're honoring people's rights, that you're honoring the First Amendment. You may have a policy or whatever it is, but your policy does not supersede the Constitution. All right? And I think that's good.
Can you fully define what an auditor is? You have to start mentioning, but what is our target topic? What are we talking about?
Well, you're here
Who are we
today.
talking about? Yeah.
You're here today. I'm not going over the First Amendment in general because that would take too long. We're talking about First Amendment auditors that come to your township.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know. So sorry. In case you don't know why you're here today, when I teach,
what's the definition of an auditor?
So the auditor is
it comes in various forms. You know.
It could be various forms, exactly. So the auditor could be anyone, but it's someone that's making sure they're keeping their government employees accountable. Okay? That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything else. I know our opinion, we may have some kind of preset notion about them, but that's all they're doing. They want to make sure. So, for example, I'm an auditor in North Bergen, and I see Long Island Audit, and I see what he's doing in Long Island, and I care about where my tax-paying money is going. I go to my local government, and I make sure that they're honoring all the principles of the Constitution. That's basically all it is. The problem is we don't usually keep up with the times. So as a result, years ago, there were no video cameras, like the gentleman in the back is recording. I'm more than happy, because what I'm saying today is what we should be doing, right? But we didn't have this 20 years ago. So there were no way to see what was going on. So that's an introduction to Long Island Audit. Who are you, 144?
Me?
Right? Are you 144? Who are you?
What do you mean 144?
What's your page?
I'm Leroy Truth Investigations. I'm the reason you're having this meeting here today.
Okay, great. You're not Avenger Angel, right?
No.
Okay.
And you're doing a great job.
Introduced, and I'm glad you're here.
And you're doing a great job. Everything you're saying is correct.
I'm actually ecstatic you're here because you're going to see the program that we put through, and I'm very transparent. I believe in this stuff. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Amagansett Press, he does it a little different. With Amagansett Press, he targets a lot of the commercial businesses, and what he does is he stands from a lawful vantage point. Okay, so he'll say, let's say Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton. He'll do his tripod, he'll sit with his son, and they'll just record. They'll record people walking down the sidewalk and everything else. And then you'll see that the business owners, he doesn't enter because it's a private property, but he can record through the window from a lawful vantage point. So he'll sit there with his tripod, he'll just record, and he'll see what happens. Usually you'll get these ritzy managers, really, for whatever reason, they have some retail background, so they sell luxury products, but they don't really have much more than that. And they come inappropriately and ask these auditors why they're doing what they're doing. But again, what is he doing wrong? Who here knows? How often are we recorded throughout the day? The whole day. All right? If you don't want to be recorded, you better build a compound and not go out anymore. Because in today's day, you're being recorded to such a high level, okay, that you shouldn't even go out if you have a problem with it. So what's the difference if I put a secret camera in my butt? Are you going to be bothered by it? No, because you're not going to know about it. So when I just do it overtly, why does it become a problem? Anybody? Why do you have a problem when I put a camera in your face?
How it may reflect on me.
Well, how it may reflect on you depends on how you behave with the camera in your face.
Absolutely.
Well, video that can be edited too,
Yes.
to make us look bad.
Yeah, and also it's the questions that can be asked that makes you feel uncomfortable while you're being recorded. It's not for being recorded itself.
Okay? So like you said, the video could be edited. If you don't do anything to put yourself in that position,
They can twist words, they can drop little things in there, like if I say yes, they can say, change it to no, you know what I mean? There's so many things that you can do with technology. It's scary for people being recorded too, even if you don't do anything wrong, who's to say that they're not gonna make you look bad?
and while you have that fear, I'm sure a lot of people have
I'm
that
sure they
fear.
do, that's why I said
But
something.
what is that? Again, it's a preconceived notion.
Yeah.
We're already set up for failure. Correct. If I'm simply courteous, hey, how are you? Need any help today? What do they usually say? No, I'm good, thank you. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
You don't give them an opportunity to edit the video, as you say. I don't think a lot of them do that. I think a lot of them are just checking up on their government.
Right.
For the one or two, there's bad apples in every
In every
situation.
bunch, right.
Right? So for the one or two that may try to edit a video, if they don't need your help, why are you seeking them out?
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't like cameras in our face. We see a lot, oh, well, it's my right, it's against the law. Where do we come up with this stuff? You know what I'm saying? In 2024, everything is on the record. We're being tested as to our knowledge. So Amagansett Press, that's what he does. He goes to the private stores. So if Amagansett Press comes to a city near you, he's probably going to come to one of your shopping centers and stand in front. All right? We can't expect the store owners to know the law when the police officers don't know the law. And I'm not saying they don't know the law. I'm saying logically, from the chain of command. All right? So what I like to say, and what we're going to learn throughout the process, is we're going to educate and inform. There's always someone who knows less than us. Like, for example, I'm good at First Amendment auditing. I'm probably terrible at purchasing. I'm probably terrible at video editing. So I look to you guys to educate and inform. You're here today because that's what we're going to do. When an auditor comes to your section, you're going to be tasked with educating and informing that individual. Listen, It's their constitutional right. If they don't need your help, just let it be. As long as they're not breaching the peace, time, place, and manner, we're gonna be fine. And I'm sure the auditor will continue, and he'll give you a grade A at the end of the audit. Full court press, he's more of a local guy. He's a North Bergen guy. When I first met him, he had something like 68 followers a couple months ago. He's already up to 2,000 subscribers. All right. So there's a business for this. All right. People want to see it. People want to see what our government employees are doing. We also had issue ourselves most recently with this video. All right, I'm going to show you briefly so you get an idea of what we're talking
So
about.
Acorn is a financial tech company, so
As soon as I get rid of this tab.
everyone keeps saying that.
All right? So if you see, obviously you don't have time to play every video to the fullest extent, but he goes throughout this whole interaction, all right? So he goes throughout the whole interaction. When the point of this is, it only takes one person to paint a picture of something that's not. Right? So he's going to say, wow, all in all, North Bergen did a fantastic job. I'm from North Bergen. That's all I do is teach this. And we still made a little move. But it's okay because we learned from our mistakes. So as you're going to see, it's a successful video. They did great. Right? And watch in another 5 seconds what happens.
You know, it seems that they're having issues with me. And, you know, I wish they all go like this. I feel secure, small amount, that my rights will not be violated or infringed upon in any way. And,
Are you,
who are you?
me?
So pay attention to the body language.
For, what are you doing here? What kind of story?
I don't want to hear that.
Okay, do you have a permit to be here?
I'm very public. I don't need to.
This is not public. No, this is not. This is private. This is private property.
That's my home.
Listen, I'm not gonna argue with
I'm
you.
not arguing with you. You were supposed to
You're looking
tell me
for
I think I've been somewhere I can't
Give you
be.
10 minutes of fame. That's what you're
I
doing.
didn't ask you to come to me.
You're here. You're at my job.
The
You're
people
at my,
on this
listen,
company.
sir, you're at my job.
Okay.
You're at my place of business.
You work for North Bergen, that's what you're doing,
I want to answer questions.
Exactly. So with me. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Yeah. You said this is public property.
This is public property. This is the North Bergen Township. There's no restricted size. It's a public same thing I told them. Same thing I told the lady inside.
That's basically they're getting the job.
That's my
This is the problem. This is what's going on all.
It only takes one employee to make things look in a manner that they're not. You see that? He's saying North Bergen's very good. He even mentions me in the video. He says, oh, I'm sure if you talk to Captain Raposo, he would have a problem with it, so forth and so on. All right? But why is that? Is that employee trying to do the wrong thing?
No.
No, of course not. That's where I get into, we have to educate and inform. If someone just told me, what is government property?
You should have known.
Okay, so when we enter these buildings, we frequently hear employees say, it's private property. Now, what is it? What are government buildings within reason of time, place, and manner? What are they? They're public property, right? So why do people frequently say, oh, this is private, you can't record here?
They're uneducated.
That's all it is. So all we have to do is educate. This is why my two-step process, you will never have a problem. That's my one-step process, educate and inform. So again, a lot of you aren't law enforcement, but I have to go over it, a little bit of law. What is the hierarchy of law? What is the supreme level of law? Yeah, what's the highest level of law? Constitution, excellent, all right? Part of the Constitution is the First Amendment. The way the hierarchy of law works is you get your highest form of law, the United States Supreme Court, you go down from there, okay? So then we have the New Jersey Supreme Court. Prior to that, we have the Third Circuit Court, the Federal Court. We have all these forms of law that are being brought down, all right? And we got New Jersey Supreme Court, Superior Court, Appellate Division. We have all these forms of court. We have 2C, we have regulatory law, so forth and so on. We're working our way down. We have ordinance, and then we have policy. Does police enforce policy? You. No, right? Who says police enforce policy? In essence, it's in its name, law enforcement officer. So why is it that everyone types up a nice fancy policy and then they point to the cop and they go, it's our policy, he's got to go. Where in the law does it say that a person cannot film in a public area? What does it matter what your policy says? Does your policy matter? Does your policy supersede law?
This is good information.
Does your ordinance supersede 2C? 2C is our basic form of law. It's basically what we follow. Basically, when you say, "Oh, this auditor doesn't belong here. I want him out. I want him trespassed." That would be your 2C. Okay? Does your ordinance supersede? Because what you'll say is, "Oh, my policy doesn't work. Chief, we're calling the mayor right now. We're going to adopt this into ordinance, and then you're going to enforce the law." It's an ordinance. It's the local government body's form of law. But then it's contrary to 2C. So just because you adopt the ordinance doesn't mean. So now you might say, well, the federal courts, the Third Circuit doesn't have law on this. Third Circuit is basically New Jersey, Philadelphia. It's our federal, for easier way of describing it, let's say the Supreme Court, lower than that, Third Circuit, they oversee everything. So now you might say, oh, I'm a Google attorney. I looked it up. And what you said during the presentation was the 12th Circuit, which we don't follow. Right? You might say that. Some of my presentations are going to include other circuits. So you're right. All right? We don't have to follow it. It's not binding. But if Chief Ficini wants to do something, and he tells Chief Facilis, what is Chief Facilis likely to do? Well, more in the sense of agreement. Are they likely to agree each other because they're chiefs?
No, not always.
No?
No.
All right, so forget that example. All right? Let's say two judges. One judge says this. Is a judge likely to follow what the other judge said? But they're probably, since they're in the same business, they're not going to make their fellow judge look bad, right? At the lower level. So as we move up, is the 12th Circuit judge makes a decision. Is the Third Circuit likely to follow it or likely to go against it? If we had to flip a coin, which do you think they'll follow?
I think they will follow.
They will likely follow it, right? So since there's no law federally or in the Third Circuit, I give you what other circuits have decided. So that way we have an idea. So when you decide that you want to take this to the Supreme Court of the land, you're likely to know which way your case is going to go because of previous decisions. Clear? Any questions so far? Anything? Oh, and by the way, this was a closed training, but I want you to be here because I want you to grade me at the end of it.
Thank you.
All
I
right?
appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
How does this relate, and I noticed, and just so you get a full idea, someone comes into your facility, public area, But then there are areas where it might be, and I noticed there were trucks and whatever, and where it might be a police garage, a maintenance area, different areas that are you wouldn't want the public or whatever, but there are some people who may be overzealous and overwhelmed. How does it relate to something like that? Because then you have OSHA issues and issues such as that. And it's because all of us are involved in that in different ways, you know, when you're a director, et cetera. So like I might have a facility, I'm from the housing authority, and I have a facility where we have maintenance area, where we have trucks parked that might need maintenance, and it could be safety issues. And I know it's a common sense thing, they shouldn't be allowed in safety areas. At least in my mind it's common sense, but some of this may not be, if you know what I mean. So how does that relate in telling someone, like I noticed that gentleman even, whatever happened there, but I noticed there were some trucks around that could be then related to a safety, and you say, I don't want you here because of safety reasons. How does that relate? How do you,
So
how do you address, how do you address something like
we're
that?
gonna think of it, and again, I'm not giving you the legal terms, I'm giving you the more simplified terms. We're gonna think of it as three things. We're gonna think of publicly accessible areas, semi-publicly accessible, and restricted areas. The way we're gonna judge that, you might say, okay, so how do I know from situation to situation? A publicly accessible area, the way we're gonna figure that out is if me, as a member of the public, if I can just walk through without anyone saying a word, and you've converted that into a publicly accessible area, then all you have to do is put a camera in my hand and know it's fine. All right? So if you're the type of office, and I'm not specifically saying Union City, I'm just saying that you have a party through your office every day where it's like Amtrak and everybody's coming through, the day the guy has a phone in his hand, again, you've converted that to a publicly accessible area. For example, in our town, everybody know how our township is. It's the township, and to the left we have the cars, all right? And initially people thought, okay, we're gonna restrict access, we're gonna put an arm, and people are not gonna be able to drive through the lot. Okay, great. So we can, if the auditor wants to come with his hooked up Google car with all cameras, he's not gonna be able to go in there with his car. But what is he gonna be able to do? We don't enforce the pedestrian traffic. So when you're walking on Kennedy Boulevard, all right, and you want to get to, let's say, Tennessee Avenue, everybody uses that as a shortcut, right? So what have we done as an organization? We've made that publicly accessible. So now let's say it's your car in that lot, and I'm the auditor, and your windows are not tinted because you didn't create privacy, and I decide I want to film your vehicle, all right, what are you going to do about it? Who has a problem if I go and start filming your vehicles in a publicly accessible area? What are you going to do about it? You're going to hit me with burglary? What are we going to do about it?
Ask why?
But
Why are you filming?
why would we ask why if your car is publicly accessible? Okay. Remember, all you have to think. But we shouldn't even ask that because we wouldn't ask that of anybody else. You know what I'm saying? If I'm walking through the lot and I'm looking at every car and I just keep walking, right? You guys aren't gonna run out there and hey, what are you doing? Right? We're not
What
gonna.
about municipal owned property,
Correct.
like not personal?
No, it's municipal owned. We have the same Rocco's, for those of you that know the area. Then we have our parking lot.
Yep.
And then we have the town hall.
Okay.
Everybody uses that as a shortcut. Okay? So we can't say the day the auditor comes with his camera and starts recording the vehicles, we can't say you can't be here because we've never enforced it. We can't just decide to enforce it that day because we're doing it once in a while.
Violating the rights. Violating rights.
In what way? We're retaliating.
No, you're
It's-
reacting.
Correct.
Like a
It's
reaction.
like an eagle type thing. Can you record this? Oh, yes, I can. Oh, you're gonna see. One call and you're out of here. All right? Again, it's not about, a lot of the times why we get caught up is because we get caught up in an ego sense. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's gonna win this battle? There's nothing to win. You gotta work your 8 hours. You're gonna be there regardless. All right? As long as they're not destroying the place, acting disorderly or whatever, let them be about their business. but we're gonna get more into it, there's still more, right? I mean, this training could have been real quick. I mean, I could have had you all here 5 minutes and said, just let them do what they want, as long as they're not disorderly, and we're done. Right? But I'm gonna give you examples to build a basic baseline. You guys are gonna be the center. All of you are overseeing someone, or you're a team captain, as I call you. You are now the team captain for First Amendment auditors. There's nothing wrong with that. All right? They're just making sure that we're doing the right thing. So getting back to the parking lot. All right? If you don't have a secure lot with a fence, okay, or some kind of enforcement, the day to start enforcing it is not the day when the order comes. That's the last day to start enforcing it.
Is a sign enforcement?
Well, that's a
No
great
entrance.
question.
No entrance beyond this point?
Okay, great. Perfect. All right? So you, right? The question is, we have this lot in North Bergen, all right? And we have a sign that says, no entry beyond this point. But it's a train, it's a free fall for 50 years. And now all of a sudden we've got something called auditor coming through, and now we're going to enforce it. Is that going to be valid? Now some of you might say, of course it's going to be valid. How are they going to know? How would I know if I'm being retaliated against? But how would I know that it's only being enforced against me? There's two ways. Do you think these guys just show up at your door?
They're recording
On plan?
Recording prior, see you.
Other sign is there after.
Are they going to see other people walking by?
That's a good one. We do that a lot. We put a sign after they come. So when they come back, we don't put a sign there. So, exactly. All we're asking is for uniform enforcement. That's all they're asking for. They're asking not to be singled out or retaliated against because they're the phone in there. So, what they'll do, and correct me if I'm wrong, they'll do their homework. Okay, Long Island audit. He's got a nice fancy program where he sees who owns the property and everything. So when you go there and say, this is private property, he already knows what kind of property it is. All right? But in this world, a lot of us like to fake it till we make it. But it's not the time to fake it till you make it. When you're a public servant and the community is just checking up on it, it doesn't look good. Don't just talk because you think you sound fancy. What do? I don't have children. I'm like a free-for-all. Okay, but what do we generally do when someone doesn't listen to us? We talk real loud. Like now it's going to convince them. I said so! Right? And then the person's supposed to go, oh. Right? It doesn't work like that. So, they're either going to do their homework days in advance to see if you're going to single them out, or they could just very simply do an Oprah request. Everything is Oprahable. All right? I got people saying, oh, they know I'm coming because now I'm kind of like famous throughout the country for First Amendment auditing. Semi-famous, or at least I try to pretend I'm famous. That makes me feel good. So what they do is, hey, Captain, oh, you're going to love this. We installed a bell. So when they come, we just hit the bell, everybody closes their doors.
True.
I go, that is the stupidest idea I've ever seen. I go, what about the other 364 days? What did you do then? Oh, no, we kept our doors open. They weren't here. These guys are master Oprah requesters. All right? I didn't even know what an Oprah request was until the auditors. Now I'm like, bro, this is cool. I'm just going to Oprah everything. Hey, Chief. How much overtime did you give last week? Oh, that's none of your business, George. All right, I'll just Oprah request. And that's it. It's done. I don't even get to ask her. I just do it anonymously. As you know, per law, whatever, I do not have to give my information. I want to know this information. That's done. Right? And then you, the smart person with the bell, right? You're like, the bell wasn't my idea. That was his idea. Because you're not like, holy cow. They just Oprah requested our videos for the last 30 days. And now you can't sleep at night. All because you want to tell a guy he shouldn't have a phone in his hand. Any questions?
I do, but, so what do we do like about like all the shootings and having security and keeping doors closed and, being in a private like having buildings and knowing who's entering and stuff like that? Where's the safety there where we're letting anyone in? And I get this is almost to me, like I'm just learning, this is great. This is what we want to do because I had, but then you think about the world today, people walking into private, I work at a school or an outdoor pool, with kids, how does that?
Well, remember, it's going to be situation to situation. It's going to be time, place, and matter. Your questions are actually really good. It's putting my segue for this training. All right. So the question is, what happens with safety? All right. So who does the Constitution protect? Does it protect you? When you are on the clock as a government employee, does the Constitution protect you? So what was the Constitution made for? It protects the public from the government. And what was Thomas Jefferson's famous saying during the Constitution draft? We shall never sacrifice the people's rights for public safety. Right? So what's that saying? Is you're like, oh, what are you saying? They should just shoot up the place? No, of course not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, saying public safety is not an excuse to restrict people's rights. We have a guard at the front of our town hall, but obviously he's specifically instructed to just be like a presence. He's not there to restrict people. If the guy never came in with the phone, would you have ever asked him where he's going?
All the time I do that. If I see someone over in the hall,
you say, hey, do you need help?
Yeah.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, which time? You can't come in here.
Oh, no, I would have helped them.
What do you need to come in here for? No, right? No. People come in and tell, oh, I say, please, right?
There are certain places, or opening people's calendars, I think that shouldn't be able to be done.
Did you leave the calendar book in a publicly accessible area?
No, I don't.
Where's the calendar book?
It's in an office that shouldn't be have public access. It has people's personal information there. Yeah, but there are certain offices that I bet every door has to be open.
I'm not saying.
No, I'm asking because
that's
the video.
That's what we're going over step by step.
That's what I was confused about.
What I'm telling you is we're talking about publicly accessible. And I'm not calling anybody lazy by any stretch of imagination. I'm not trying to insult you. What I'm saying is, it is not the auditor's business to create privacy. It is your job to create the privacy. So if, for example, my computer screen is facing the public, and the auditor, from a lawful vantage point, can get social security's, date of births, and everything else, whose fault is that?
Well, can I say, oh, you can't be here? No.
Listen,
No, but
the point is, the camera, your screen is facing the public. It's accessible.
Right.
What he's telling you is,
but
you have to create the privacy, meaning just turn your computer.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the computer. I'm talking about actually opening up someone's.
We're going step by step, just so people develop a base. So I'm starting here.
Yeah, that I understand.
So now the computer, the calendar book is the calendar book. I'm telling you that the auditor is standing right here, recording everything.
Oh no, yeah, I would either close out my screen. Yeah, I get that part.
But what do we normally tell the auditor?
Get out.
Get out why? Get out why? You can't record this why? Perfect. Now we got one more step. Get out, you can't record this why?
Restricted information.
There's restricted personal information. Now whose fault is that? Is it the fault of the individual who's standing in a lawful area and your setup, whoever designed your desk and your computer said, hey, let's expose to the world? Or just turn the desk around and now there's nothing exposed. So I get this question. I go, you mean to tell me that we're going to cater to them? Yes, they're the public, we're the government employee. That's exactly what I'm telling you. So they say, oh, I got a good one. Because we got to find every which way around this. And I don't mean specifically North Bergen. I mean, I've taught all over the state. And I get hundreds of questions. I get a comment. Oh, I know. Sexual assault victims, I got it. I got it. The auditor cannot be in that public place because the sexual assault victim is telling her story and they have certain privacy expectations. Is that a good one? I think it's a good one. Is that a good one? Is that a good one? Should the sexual assault victim tell her story while the auditor is behind her recording? So what should we do? Tell the auditor to leave, right? Move the girl to a private area. It's the same. The examples I'm giving you are, that's why I started with that. It's always going to be the same. If you don't want someone touching your calendar, move the calendar. He's not going to be able to go into your office and open your desk. He's not going to be able to do any of these things. He's not going to do any of these things. They just want to see, are you respectful or not? And they're going to keep about their business. That's it. You're going to get one or two bad fish. There's one or two bad fish everywhere. There's one or two bad fish in Burger, Union City, Town Hall. You get that everywhere. But generally, they're not threats. They're recording. The last thing they want to do is violate a right, be disorderly, or be anything that they're giving you the evidence of their inappropriate behavior. So the moral of the story is you have to create the privacy. They don't have to create the privacy. They're a member of the public. The Constitution protects them. So if you don't like it, that the Constitution doesn't protect you, the Constitution wasn't made for the government employees. All this really started after 9/11. But if you're upset that the Constitution doesn't protect you, and again, take that logically. Obviously, we protect you. If the guy puts you in the face, we're going to come up there and do what we have to do, make an arrest. What I'm saying is, you're saying the guy coming with the camera, so I have no rights? No! Because the case law, Fields versus the city of Philadelphia says what? Anybody? I already gave you the answer. We could film government employees. So if the Third Circuit Court is saying that they can be filmed, what does it matter what your ordinance says? All right? We're talking the highest levels of government, okay? They're like, it's built into our collective bargaining agreement.
Mayor Kathleen Foley, listen to this. This is for you, Mayor Kathleen Foley.
Does the collective bargaining agreement supersede Fields versus the city of Philadelphia? This is the deputy, whatever he is to the federal government.
This is for you.
Saying to my friend Sean, don't worry, the cops are coming. If they were afraid of the cops, would they be there?
Yeah, no.
So when you say it's in our collective bargaining agreement, we made sure to adopt it. You're the deputy, whatever he is, for DHS, Department of Homeland Security. You're the second in command. And you're on 1 million views saying that you think that your collective bargaining agreement supersedes the Third Circuit Court. Is that even logical? If I reversed it and I said, hey, collective bargaining agreement supersedes Third Circuit Courts, you don't even have to know law. You'll be like, what the hell is this captain talking about? But in his mind, again, why? We have to watch them with the preconceived notions.
Yes.
That is what is stopping us. Because we already know, we've talked, we watched the videos. What's your name?
Tammy.
Tammy. Hey, Tammy, did you see that video yesterday? Look at this. Wait till they come here. All right? I told them instantly, hey, want to come do your training? Because again, I'm trying to train everyone in the world. I'm trying to train the post office, which they're going to do the training. I'm trying to train DMV. I'm trying to train everybody, right? I told the one guy, want me to do the training? He goes, what are they? I go, they come, they film, they try to see if the government employees are being held accountable, so forth and so on. What do you think his answer was to me? No, we kick those people out. You haven't gotten the right one yet because you don't kick those people out. All right, so we have town hall, which we're going to transition a little into DMV. All right, we have town hall. All right, we have police department. We have all similar semi-accessible areas. They're publicly accessible, but semi-accessible because obviously there's restricted areas, which goes into your questions. okay? If the general public cannot access that and doesn't access that and is an enforced act, then the camera guy is not gonna be able to access that. But we can't arbitrarily, it has to be uniform. So picture anywhere in your town hall, picture right now, all right, they just walk freely through here. For example, like I told the gentleman in the back, this is a closed training, the public does not access this training. But we need the activists, and I appreciate you, thank you. We need individuals like this to speak on our behalf on what we're doing to be better. Go ahead.
By the way, how would I know it's a closed training? I actually heard it was open training. There was no sign that said it was a closed training. It didn't say employees only, so I thought it was open to the public.
I guess you got us. So
But
you're
there were
here.
specific-
You're right.
But wait a minute, there were specific people invited only. It was never said open to the public. There was, I don't know if that makes it.
He brings up a good point, which transitions into my next segue. That's what I'm saying. This class is amazing. All right? Like he said, how would you know? Do you have signage? Can I, as a general member of the public, just open this door and walk in? Or is it locked? Was it locked when he walked in? I don't even know who he is. I thought he was a township employee. What I'm saying is, remember, the equation is very simple. If I am a general public and I just walk in here, right? How am I to know this is not publicly accessible if there's no signage? Right? How am I to know this is a closed training session if there's no signage? Go ahead.
I have a question is regarding the door. So is the door is closed? So, and it's not locked. So I have the right to check it out if it's open and I can't get in?
Think of it like this. Don't think of it like, oh, the guy came, do I close the door, do I open the door?
No, but it's not this particular case. I mean,
I'm
it's in
saying
general.
We
Yes.
can't be stuck on one example. We have to just build a baseline. What do we generally do? Do people generally come in through here? If they do, they shouldn't. The door should be locked. We have to create the privacy. Privacy is not just make the window black so you can't see inside. Whatever it is that the public should not access, we have to enforce that starting today after this training. All right? So, he brings up a great point. I wasn't going to kick him out anyway because I want him to be here. But what I'm saying is, how would a member of the public know? So that brings us to our parking lot scenario, that brings us to the town scenario, the police scenario, the semi-accessible areas, as I said. If we don't have a closed door to our cell, and obviously this is logical, but think of it. If we just leave the door open, and for whatever reason, I'm in trouble and I gotta watch the desk, I'm like, oh, this sucks, right? I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go hide in the kitchen, right? And now any individual, Pam, you, what's your name?
Leroy.
Leroy, Tammy, anybody comes up and they're like, they wander in, and then they wander to the left, and then they're in the jail cells. Who is that? That's awful. There's no signage telling them where they can and can't be. Remember, signage is not everything, but signage is very important. You need a sign to tell people where they need to go. I don't know where I was. Thankfully, the chief escorted me. I have no idea where I was. I don't know where I'm going. Union City has been great hosts. They've been escorting me everywhere. I've never really been in this building. Maybe when I was a little kid. But for the most part, I don't know where I'm going. So how would I know that I can't access the door? Think of it like that. All right? Think of it how we're enforcing it. So you might say, again, hypothetically, I don't know your system. Let's say the purchasing department. The public does not deal with the purchasing department. The public never approaches the purchasing department. The public has nothing to do with the purchasing department. But you have one girl or one guy in there that wants to be the party of the life, and everybody just walks in there.
I have a lot. You gotta get busted.
The day to start enforcing it is not the day when the camera comes. Perfect. So you don't have to worry. We're good. All right? So, we're transitioning. Any questions so far? Town hall, safety. Again, we have a guard. The guard is simply there to say, hi, can I help you find your destination? A full-time police officer. That's all they do. They sit there, they're watching the camera. Can I help you find your destination? Who's to say that a guy without a camera is not going to do something violent? But we're going to let him just roll through. So the common theory is, oh, the guy with the phone, I don't know what he's up to. I don't know what he's going to do. What's he going to do? He's recording himself. You know what I'm saying? So transitioning now, right? We have the parking lot. We have your cars. All right? I'll give you an example. Federal property. Right? You hear all the time, the Homeland Security, like I told you, the deputy, whatever he is. Right? You have all these high-profile federal agents with attorneys on scene. They don't even know about Poster 7. Right? You see, United States Post Office, federal property. They go in, and the postal employee, I mean, the regular person can't even get good service. Why would you think the guy with the phone, right? I mean, I go there in uniform, they're like, what do you want? I want a stamp. $1. All right? So where do we think that's going to go from there? It's not going to go well when I put a camera in your face. Can it be annoying? Yeah, it could be annoying. I mean, I got into a verbal argument with somebody the other day. They had a camera in my face, and I teach this. I want to smack the camera out of his hand. But obviously, I didn't, because I want to keep my job. So
I have a question.
uh,
So if this is now a closed meeting, could we bring a temporary sign and put it outside the door?
Absolutely.
And that's what we would have to do for
Absolutely, because
anything like that?
absolutely, because we don't generally do this. This is the first time I've been here. It's not like the public comes in here all the time and listens to my trainings. You can choose to have a closed meeting training. That's absolutely fine. Now, you're talking to me, so if it was up to me, I invite them all.
Right. That's something I would say, that you're doing a First Amendment training and you're doing an exceptional job. And why have a closed session when this is valuable for anyone?
Well, that's why we have you.
Right.
I'm
very glad I'm here.
I think the theory is just what we're used to. Technology is something a little new. Even though it's not new, it's new. You know, and some people might be, it's not the norm. You don't usually see like members of the public come in during the training. But that's what we're trying to change. And like you said, that's something. I want you at the end of this to speak to your followers and say, you know what, the training was legit, they're doing a good job. I need you to give me pointers on how my next training could be better. So there's yes and there's no. You understand? Like they probably want more of a private training, but I do it with a lot of them. You saw what I did with Sean, if you haven't seen the video. I've done it with our local auditors. You could call any of our local auditors, I invite them in like crazy. I'm like, yo, come in. They're like, yo, you're the lead. I'm tired of hanging out. They don't even want to come. I'm like, hey, you want to come for lunch? Hey, you want to come here? No, I don't want to hang out with you. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So yes, I can see both ways, but wherever I'm at, you're always welcome to come. So transitioning, post office, Poster 7, federal property. It says in there, news purposes. So now someone in the room is like, news purposes. He doesn't work for ABC. He doesn't work for CBS. So that's it, we got him. He can't be in the post office, he can't be on federal property, he can't be anywhere. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, what's news purposes?
To inform.
I'm sorry?
To inform.
To inform. Excellent. You're the first person to describe it so perfect. All right? To inform. What are we informing? The government employees and what they're doing on taxpayer money. So when they say we're working on a story, are they news gathering agents? That's it. So they're qualified to do what they're doing because there's no press pass. Yeah, maybe if you want to get into the White House or somewhere like that, time, place, and manner. All right? But there's no press pass. I can't go on Amazon and buy a press pass. You never see any of them come with a press pass. All right? Never. So there's no press pass. We need, in order for us to be doing First Amendment auditing, we need to be gathering information for a story. And the story, people have to want to know. Are people going to want to know what you guys are doing on your day-to-day basis? So then there might be somebody in the room that says, no, that shit's boring, who cares? They wouldn't be millionaires if people didn't want to know what you're doing. They're millionaires, and if they're not millionaires, they're gonna be millionaires because people are watching this. They're getting monetization, right? They're getting advertising.
She's not gonna change my career.
Well, if you want to look, I didn't feature him today because we have the local people, which I got to finish 2 more people. I'm just giving you the local people. If you want to know, look up We the People University. He's a former police officer, and he left his job to do auditing. Now he's got a website, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, app, and consulting. So what am I doing? I'm doing this stuff for free, just so my counterparts and us can have a good day at work and not get ourselves into trouble, because I'm a big proponent of what? Educate and inform. Right? Nobody taught me this. You know what I did? I took their videos and I went backwards. Are they allowed to do this? Are they allowed to do this? I did my own legal research. It took me hours. And now I'm just sharing my knowledge with everybody else for free. I'm not getting paid for this. You know what I'm saying? So, post to 7, you have to be gathering newsworthy information. We already established their stuff is newsworthy. All right? I'm doing it for free, but do people want to know that I am doing the proper training? You get some First Amendment training out there, you know what they're teaching people? They're teaching people how to combat them, how to argue with them, how to fight with them. Why would we teach that? We're supposed to be de-escalating as government employees. We're not supposed to be escalating. So why would you see a lot of attorneys come to my class and we're going to teach you your rights. What are your rights? The Constitution protects public. They're not doing it. They just have fun with it. Right? So now we're transitioning. Right? You should by now have developed a decent base. Town hall, police department, kind of the same. Publicly accessible areas, semi-publicly accessible, restricted area. Restricted area being the cells, the chief's office, things like that. Things where the public cannot go. I couldn't go in his office. I got escorted like it was Fort Knox. All right, like, can I go see the chief? Then hold on, stay right there. I'm going to check. You know, there's a captain here. Blah, blah, blah. He knew I was coming. I still got checked. I didn't just walk into his office. Right? And I looked this guy. And I still got checked. There's restricted areas, semi-accessible. Schools. What is that? I'm not going to say because of public safety, right? Does it preclude filming children in publicly accessible areas? Yeah. Aren't they being filmed all day long anyway? Yeah. So obviously that's out. Safety, I guess you could say that, but legally we're not going to say that, so that's out. What is the reason why they can't go through the school? We already discussed it 4 times. I'm trying to develop a base. It's not a public thoroughfare. It's not publicly accessible. It doesn't matter what parent in here wants to go get their children. Can you just run up in the school and run up to their classroom? No. You're escorted the entire time, okay? And the general public does not just roam through there. See how we're developing our base? If me can just walk through with no camera, put the camera in my hand, and we're both good to go. So time, place, and manner, breach of the peace. If it is 7 p.m., is the town hall open? Can the regular guy walk through? So can the guy with the camera walk through? Okay. It is now 2 p.m. Can the regular guy walk through town hall? So can the guy with the camera walk through? Forget about the filming. Think of it as, can the guy walk through? So now you're purchasing. You have everything locked up. All right? You have blacked out screens. You have everything. Yeah. The general public does not go in there. Can they go in there with the camera?
No.
No.
But I would go out. Obviously, if someone comes to my door, I always go outside and say, can I help you?
But the general public don't even go. They may be just asking for directions or another agency.
Exactly.
So you have to think of it like that. So that's why signage is important. Okay? Signage by ordinance is better, but general signage, as long as it's in good faith, is going to be fine. See how we transition, right? If you park your car on the street, and I come up in your car and start recording it, Can you do anything about it? Just don't drive to work. Take an Uber if you want people recording your cars. Right? It's the hard life. It's the realization of where we are today in 2024. Okay? Park it in a garage. Park it somewhere where it can be accessible. You have to create the privacy. Right? If we have victims, we move the victims. If we have privacy information, we move the person. Right? We move them to another room. We create the privacy. See how every job is now going to make sense? They're all the same. Right? So now what about if you're in a park? And the gentleman in the back, Leroy, is just filming the park. And your kid is playing. Little Jimmy. He's running around. And you're going to call a cop and be like, oh, Leroy, I did so wrong. I was recording my 2-year-old child. Are we going to call the police? Priceless class, maybe. But remember the scenario. It's public. Parks, libraries, they're the essence of public. They're the most accessible places on the earth. All right? You're not gonna get anywhere with that. So now you might ask, if there's someone like this, what I did in there. We had this homeless guy who maybe wasn't, his intentions were not the best, right? But it's a public place. He's sitting there looking at the kids in a weird way. Everybody feels uncomfortable, right? So picture this. You as a parent, you have this weird guy, and again, I'm not saying anything personal to the individual, I'm just saying, this is how you feel. I come to the park with my children, I'm not here to deal with this. Look at this guy. What are you going to do about it? Right? Do you think that she wants to hear publicly accessible, he can stay here all he wants? No. Of course she doesn't want to hear that, right? So again, we have to be creative. If he's sitting there making you uncomfortable, what do you think I did? Huh? You guys should know me by now. What do you think I told you? Come on, we're like a family now. You been with me for 30 minutes. I sat down right next to him and just stared at him the way he was staring at everybody else. And what do you think he did? He packed his stuff, left, and never came back. Does she care how I handled it? I didn't do anything wrong. He's staring at everybody, so I'm staring at him. I didn't say a word. If his intentions were good, would he have left? I didn't say a word. I didn't say anything. All I said was, are you okay? Do you need medical attention? He said, no, I'm good. I'm enjoying the sun. So no problem. And I just said it. All of 30 seconds. Versus, you gotta go. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Oh, contempt of cop. 2C12-1. No, that's simple assault. Oh, shit. How do you know that, Sarge? Can you find a charge? We don't have to get that far. All right? We just have to, the same way the auditors use the law to their advantage is the same way we use it. I'm not telling you to do anything towards them, but what I'm saying is, there's no need for conflict. In today's day of de-escalation, all the tools we're being taught, there was no need for me to confront with that individual. All right? He had a predisposition against me that I was already out to do something with him. That I was already going to place him under arrest. That I was already probably going to be physical with him. We don't do that in 2024. All I did was sit next to him. If he wants to have a conversation, I would have spoke to him. Then when the chief's like, George, what are you doing? You've been there now 2 hours. Be like, hey, what's that called? No, where we talk, where we, but there's a certain term for it. I just forgot it at the top of my head. Where, when the officer gets a little aggressive, we yell the term out. Then we slow things down. It's ruining my segue to the gym.
Stand down.
It's talking to the county. We have like 4 hours of it. 5 hours of it.
Oh, Able.
Right? George, what are you doing down there? You've been there now 2 hours. Hey, Chief, Able. Right? So you don't want to hear that? Probably not. But is that going to be a successful ending to the situation? Yes. Right? So, as you see, it's the same in every scenario. The park, town hall. All you need to know is 2 things. You need to have the tools to educate and inform. And you have to know where you are. If you don't know where you are, how are you ever going to know what you could do? Leave here today and find out, is my office publicly accessible? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's turn everything. Let's take the stupid signs off. Let's create privacy. Let's act like we're in 2024, not like we're in 1924. That's it. You create your own privacy. Nobody's infiltrating your privacy. But if you leave your windows open and let the public see everything you do inside your apartment, it's not my problem that I'm walking my dog every morning and you do the same scandalous stuff you do on a daily basis. That's your problem. Create your privacy. So think of it the same way. You're closing your curtains, all right? You're creating privacy. Signage. Let me know where I'm going. Don't put a sign because you just want to arbitrarily enforce it. Put a sign because you want to uniformly enforce it. Very simple. All this stuff, when we talk about it, I don't even know why I got all hyped up for that stuff. All right? Last thing for the cops, and then I'm sure there'll be some more questions. Identification. It's like the center of everything. I never saw anything like this. I had some of the smartest teachers tell me, oh, they gotta give you identification. Okay. Are we allowed to compel identification?
Severe reason.
So the reason is that I threatened to burn the guy's house down when the state trooper wants to file a report for terroristic threats. And I refused to give my ID. Can I do that? Chief says no. Who agrees with the chief? Right. Right? So just so you know, for technical terms of law enforcement, what we have is we have reasonable suspicion. We can reasonably believe, based on an identified citizen statement, that this guy made a threat to burn down my house. But there's no arrest to be made. So the question is identification. This is my first example. Can we require identification of a man who threatens to burn down a house for report purposes? The answer is no. State versus Camillo. Again, everything I'm telling you is backed by law, either in New Jersey or some kind of circuit court. And that I know some of you don't like it. Trump is California. Come on, bro. Well, it is what it is. All right? So state versus Camillo. State trooper wants identification for his report in case the guy wants to send a complaint later. The guy says no, he charges him with obstructing. We charge everything obstructing. Obstructing. Sounds good. Obstructing, you need some kind of force or other unlawful act. The court determined it's not unlawful to what? Remain silent regarding your identification. So therefore, you can't require, because the Highville court in Nevada said, I understand the Fourth Amendment says you could be free from unreasonable searches of your papers, effects, people, property, all that. But for good cause shown, the states could adopt law that says for reasonable suspicion, you can require identification, but New Jersey opted not to. So there's no identification law in New Jersey. So all of you, I'm responding one day, and the officer says, this is years ago, statute of limitations done, so we're good. The guy goes, 2-5. 2-5 means arrest, all right? 2-5. Right? And I go, 2-5 for what? He goes, I asked him for his name. He told me, go fuck myself. So, sorry in case any of you are offended, but I'm just telling you, I'm quoting what the officer said, right? So, what is that really? It's just more of a contempt of cop. It's not really anything. I tell you, go fuck yourself. You got mad, you're arrested, right? But there's no identification law in New Jersey. I'm not required, short of an arrest. Why would I want to give you my information if I'm going to be arrested? Because I don't want to be arrested. So instead of arresting me, I'd rather give you my name. So if I go, you don't want to give me my name, that's fine. I'm just going to put you under arrest. I'm not threatening the guy. I'm explaining, per use of force, the likely outcome of what's going to happen. I'm educating him so he can make a decision based on what I'm explaining. So you tell the individual, well, just so you know, there's probable cause for arrest. If you don't want to give me your identification, you're going to be under arrest. So it's your choice. Short of probable cause, you can't require identification. All right? If we can't require identification for a man threatening to burn down a building, and the court, the New Jersey, the legislation and the people that make the laws have not adopted a law. There's only like something like 25 states that adopted it, and half of those states don't even have enforcement. They have the law there, and if you violate it, there's no penalty. So, if all of this can't be done to identify someone, then why do you continually say, oh, if you don't give me your information, I'm going to be on the record? You can't do that for a person with a camera if you could do it with someone burning that building. I asked him, what's your name? He said, legal. I don't know if that's his real name or not. All right? He could have just told me, whatever, good citizen or a concerned citizen, whatever he wants. I just want to refer to him in a polite way, like I did with Tim. I don't want to be like, hey, you, hey, you, hey, you. All right? If he doesn't want to be called by his name, that's fine. But for me to say, give me your ID. Maybe I don't want to give you my ID. Maybe I just want to give you my first name. Maybe I just want to speak to you on the first name. All right? We're here to just, again, we're here for 8 hours, whether or not we get a call, we get no calls. Just make the best of it. Hey, what's your name? Go first. Okay. Any questions? That's pretty much the presentation.
Can I share a story of how so many of us got to do what we do, like why we do what we do?
I hope you do, so you know.
Can I come in front there and?
Yeah, come on.
Can I do the camera?
Absolutely. No, I said I want you to. Here.
No, I'm joking.
I want you to make sure you get me in frame.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yep, please. I'm trying to show you that if I don't stay, it's what's this.
And your presentation was exceptional. And one of the things that a lot of people will ask, well, how did we get started doing what we do? And I consider myself a police reform activist and a government accountability activist. And no one just starts off saying, hey, let's just go record people to bother them, to bug them, to see if we can get a rise. Now, again, there's a few, as you said, a minority of people that will do the wrong thing, as any experience. But for the most part, every one of us was created, usually by police doing the wrong thing. And my origin story took place about 30 years ago, and I was on a date. And we went to a movie. First date, I took her to a park, and it was a parking lot there. And it was, I don't know, maybe 10 o'clock night or something. And went there, make out a little bit. Nothing crazy, completely closed. And there are no signs. And it's next to a place I had grown up at. And so while I'm there, we're hanging out, making out a little bit. She was a good kisser. And suddenly, bam, 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 on my driver's side door, it sounded like someone's going to break the door in. I don't know what the hell's going on. I rolled my window down. This police officer screaming at me. License registration. License registration. I'm asking him why. License registration. License registration. Why? He doesn't like that. Takes his service revolver out, presses it to the temple of my head with his finger on the trigger, and says I'm under arrest. What was my crime? In reality, nothing. He arrested me. He arrested my date. That was the last time we went out. She will never forget that day, I guarantee you. And for that whole we charged with, I was charged with obstructing governmental administration, contempt of cop. And I didn't even say I wouldn't give him my ID. If he gave me a lawful reason, I would have given it to him. And I was also charged with trespassing, and she was charged with trespassing. I found out later it was technically a park. Technically, it is closed, even though there were no signs whatsoever. No gates to the parking lot. It's right next to a main road. I went to court. I didn't have any money at the time. I had a public defender. The judge heard the situation. He said, what the hell are you here? Get out of here. And charges were dropped. And that started me on this journey. And all police officers are not bad. I absolutely know that. And especially with my experience for the last several weeks with Union City, I found numerous good police officers here. And remarkably so. So every single person who does this type of work, it's a mission. For some, it may be about money. For me, it's not. I don't know the businesses. But when people do the right thing, and like, again, you're doing an exceptional service, I would love to have you on my channel. I'd interview you because you're saying everything correct based on the law. Where are you at?
This is way low.
Right, and I don't blow smoke. You don't know me from Adam. I don't know you.
I thought you were an employee.
Yeah, and I know Sean, but I do.
I'm sure.
Well, I already know about you. So thanks for this opportunity. But every one of us, again, was created. And when a good police officer does the right thing, it's remarkable. And why we're here today is because I was here 3 weeks ago. And another guy was here as well. And there was an employee that had a big deal. This is just my interaction on my video with me filming. And she was saying, is she here? No, I don't recognize you. No. Could be.
How do you get some
You didn't even buy my own.
Okay. Absolutely.
I'm going to flip the video where I went a little over.
Yes.
And I actually have 2 more points to make to 1%.
Right. So briefly with this, she had a problem with me recording, went to the privacy thing. I'm not looking for people's private information. No one is. Calls the police. Detective Haber comes. He does the right thing. Exemplary. What he did, he said, hey, I've got a right to film here. Let everybody know I can't keep coming up here. Now, from what I understand, he doesn't tell you anything.
That's right.
He's now no longer in the records room. He's on patrol and on a shit. So if I ask you to do the right thing, bring him back to the records room. He's an exemplary police officer.
All due respect, I don't want to discuss personal issues, especially at this forum. You with that's my prerogative as the chief of police. Just so you know. I told him myself.
Right, we don't have to discuss it, but I asked to bring it back already. So thanks for the opportunity to share, and hopefully it gives you another perspective here.
Yep, thank you.
So good thing I was about to add, but with this story, I remember, Leroy, identification is not always absolute. During driving, 3-29, while you're driving, you do have to present your license upon request of the police officer. Not saying to his incident, I don't even know what happened. He just reminded me I forgot to cover that. We're talking about situations where we're interacting with people on a public street. Driving is a whole different thing. So don't go driving now and be like, "Come to the police station, I don't got any shit." That's not what I said. All right? Remember I said obstructing another unlawful act. It is built into 39-3-29. Upon request of the officer, you must provide your driver's license, registration, insurance. It is also built into the accident statute, not only to the police officer, but to the person you're in the accident with. So make sure you make that key notation. And again, this is all for educational purposes. If you have a problem, consult the lawyer. Don't consult me. All right. I forgot the second point.
So anything discussed today would not pertain to employees on the clock. Employee upon employee. Is that more?
Employee upon employee is governed by your policies.
Correct.
So remember, that's a great question. As part of being a government employee, you don't have the same First Amendment rights that a regular person has. You are censored, obviously, because of, government laws. Obviously, the government has to do business. You can't have one rogue employee going crazy on social media, speaking bad about the organization and all false, and now you have, just so you know what these things cost when you get them wrong, you're lucky that Leroy and a lot of these auditors are doing the right thing. But when you get some of these other auditors, it's probably going to cost your agency $1 million. All right? You're going to have call centers. You're going to be flooding. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So when you're a government employee, you can't just go freely speaking about the government how you please. So you can't say, like, for example, I don't like my boss and I think it's newsworthy, so I'm just going to sit with a camera in your face all day. No, that wouldn't apply. That applies to civilians, non-government employees. Now, if you're off the clock and you want to do that stuff, even that could be a problem. All right? Because you still have an obligation to uphold the integrity of the government. I hope I answered your question.
You did.
So just so you know, he was ready to record this to the co-workers. Anything else? Ask me now. I'm here. I'll be more than happy to.
With regards to the part that you said with the school, obviously they're secured for a purpose. But in the United States, public buildings, it's the Board of Ed or whatever, it's some type of responsibility to not be in a public building. You can escort through the building if you like. Or that still falls into some type of...
I would not start that because then you would have to do it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Correct. Because remember, the question is a good question as well. Remember, we have 3 types, I made it very simple, 3 types of lands. Fully accessible parks, libraries, sidewalks, things like that. Semi-accessible police departments, town halls, things like that, restricted areas. All right? If it's a semi-publicly accessible area, I would not let people roam in areas where it could be a potential problem. Make the enforcement. Keep it as what it is, as what it's designed to be. So, for example, we have a substation, which I'm sure we all have substations. Let's say, for example, during a cold or a heat wave, we make that a free-for-all. Now we've converted that building to a publicly accessible area with restricted zones. That's what I'm saying. Be very careful when you start making your private, closed buildings into publicly accessible buildings. But remember, he by no way is we're not having, when I come back again, it's not that we're having the public just roaming here with their cameras. I invited him. I want him to stay. It's more of a closed session because next time we'll have the proper signage. So future auditors can't just roam in here. If let's say it's not, maybe the next instructor doesn't want that. So you keep it as what it's designed to be.
You know, but you're like being so proactive in our town, like just educating us, because like, you know, I'm like writing notes like I'm in school, like an auditor. I didn't even know. I thought you just did like looked at numbers or something like auditing. You know, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you know. So it really, I'm just like amazed, you know, and it just thank you because that's part of what we need to do. We need to educate ourselves, and I always say like we got to be teachable no matter what age, because technology, everything is just passing us by, especially for me. So thank you very much. It was very informative.
Thank you for having me. You know, the chief took a big step in bringing me here. You would actually be surprised. A lot of people say no, they don't want it. I'm like, it's free. We don't need it. It's free. Yeah, right? Yeah. So I enjoy doing this because, you know, I come back from a single mother household. Sometimes we didn't have money to eat, and I didn't have the best opportunities. I'm like self-educated, so now I like to share that with other people. Anything else? Thank you for the support. Thank you to Leroy. Thank you to everybody. Chief of Chini, thank you. Thank you. That's what I said. That's it. You guys are good.
Any questions before we wrap up?
Fantastic.
That's good.
Here's some questions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm only going to work.
Random thought. Can you record them while they're recording you, so nothing could be misconstrued?
Well, again, can you record them? Of course you can record them, but remember, your body language is telling of the municipality. So when the individual is recording you, you go, I'm gonna record you right back. Doesn't probably look good. And like I said, it's very unlikely they're gonna get any concepts to put you in a bad light if you just do what we learned here today. You know, the officers are instructed not even to approach them, to educate and inform you. You know, if they're not breaching the peace or it's a time, place, and manner, they're allowed to do it. It's no different. And I'm not saying about the Union City officers because, you know, I work with them, they're great. But, you know, sometimes in North Bergen, we made time to be like, uh-oh, they want to report, I'm walking the other way. So that same attitude is like with the camera.
Yeah.
Like, we're not jumping over each other to approach people for report purposes. Why are we jumping over each other for a guy with a camera? It's more of an analogy. It's not like reality. It's just, I like to give people perspective.
What are your thoughts? Share this video with everyone. Show what a police officer who understands and upholds their oath to the Constitution and trains others to do so as well, what it looks like, what it feels like, what he says. Share your comments here. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you think Captain Raposo did a great job, contact the police department and the mayor, Mayor Nick Sacco in North Bergen, New Jersey. Let him know. that this officer makes their city look good. I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, because the truth matters.